Uh, we had a very nice session from the cases from Satara and Dr. Manoj. Now, from all that IPD cases and the wards, I would like to take you to the world of adolescents and let us see what are the conflicts of adolescents and their homeopathic management. The objectives for today are unlocking the inner world of adolescents and reaching out to them to help them resolve their conflicts, understanding the importance of applying the knowledge of normal adolescent growth and development to size up the problem definition, identifying various approaches and management strategies for common adolescent problems, and appreciating role of homeopathy and need of ancillary measures for individualistic multidimensional management of patients with all the available resources we have. WHO defines adolescents as people between 10 to 19 years of age. They make 16% of the world population and 21% of population of India. That is quite a significant number, about one-fifth of our population. It is the most rapid and formative phase of human development where transition occurs from childhood to adulthood, and it is a transformation which is characterized by discernible physical, cognitive, social, emotional, and sexual development. And hence, adolescence demands special attention from community and the health workers, apart from the other pediatric age group, which is generally given more attention to, like under 5, infants, and neonates. Uh, why is it called that adolescence has been said that it is the stress and the storm? This phrase was coined by G. Stanley Hall in one of his important works in his book Adolescence in 1904. G. Stanley Hall was the first president of the American Association of Psychologists, and he has been also called as the father of adolescence. He saw this period as a period of inevitable turmoil. He called it storm because there is a decreased level of self-control, and he called it stress because there is an increased level of sensitivity. So why is adolescence so difficult? He explained three categories: mood disruptions, conflict with parents, and risk-taking behavior. Mood disruptions are attributed to the hormonal changes and the psychological stress that occurs during this phase of life. There are always conflict with parents, which goes on increasing when the child enters this stage, because at this stage he becomes rebellious and he demands autonomy from his parents. Risk-taking behavior is something which is because of the constant need for new stimulation, but at the same time there is emotional immaturity. So we see that these teenagers, they engage into many activities which are very, very risky: rash driving, substance abuse, too many sports which have so much of adrenaline rush. Why are the teens always troubled? Let's unlock the world with a few cases. I'll go to the case one. This case is of a 16-year-old female. She is ninth pass. She has failed in her 10th standard. She accompanies her mother, who is a domestic help. Father is a peon at a private bank. She has 5 younger sisters and 1 youngest brother. They all are studying. She has only dropped out of the school. She belongs to the lower class of a small community and they reside in a small village. She came to me in January 2016 with the complaints that she has severe throbbing headaches, which starts with hot flushes in the vertex. There is throbbing pain, which is then followed by vomiting. These headaches were there since about 5 months, since September 2016, and they used to come frequently, every once or twice per month, and sometimes lasted up to 5 days. These were because she had a lot of repressed anger and she was always dwelling on her old hurts, and she turned all her anger towards herself. These headaches were aggravated by noise, aggravated by sun, and were better by tight bandaging. So we can see that this is an onset of a classical migraine. Along with that, since few months, she also had these mind symptoms where she feels that she has a very small size of her breasts. Along with that, she was also underweight. Her BMI was only 17.5, And this can be classified as mild chronic energy deficiency. Along with that, she had a history in July 2016 of a single episode of suicidal attempt by drinking floor disinfectant. This was because a marriage proposal for arranged marriage had come and she was rejected for her looks. She was very, very disappointed by this. And this whole incident led to low mood, loss of interest. She lost her aspirations. She was having reduced self esteem and self confidence, and sleep and appetite were somewhat affected. This whole episode lasted for about 2 months. But then, when she came to me, she did not have any of those mood problems. She had some interest left in work, but all her aspirations were gone. Now, if we see her basic pubertal history and examination, we can see that the development of hello, that the development of her breast started at the age of 12 years. The pubic hair started appearing at 14 years. Her first menstrual cycle appeared at around 14 years. So when we see this history and on examination, we see that she belongs to the Tanner's sexual maturity rating of 5, which denotes that she is rightly between her middle or late adolescent age. This shows that all the parameters were appropriate for her age. There were no signs of poor breast development or any delayed puberty. So this micromestia, where she felt that her breasts are small, was her self-perceived micromestia. The other general examinations were mostly regarding the growth parameters. We can see that she is undernourished and undernutrient. And the rest of the systemic examination was NAD. Now, let us see what was the life situation. He had a very difficult childhood. Father was alcoholic and always switching from one job to the other. Mother was overworked doing so many domestic work, and she had become slowly indifferent. There were poor financial condition, poor nutrition, poverty, lots of suppressed desires. But amidst all this, the girl had the aspiration to be better in her life. And she told me that she would never like to want to become a maid like her mother. But in July 2016, this marriage proposal came. She was rejected for poor looks. And this whole episode, where she was very, very disappointed, led to the first suicidal attempt. And since then, her image issues started. Now, what happened was in September 2016, another proposal came in for marriage, and that is when her all the old memories came back, all the anger which was repressed again came back. Now she had no aspirations left at all, and at this time again we see the onset of migraine. So now if we summarize her major conflicts, that is undernutrition, self-perceived micromestia, body image issues, history of single suicidal attempt, no ambition left, confusion of self-identity, and the social peer pressure was very, very high. She was feeling jealous of her sister and friends who used to look very, very beautiful. They used to click selfies posted on TikTok and social media. But she never engaged into any such activities because she had very, very low body image, self image. She had poor parent and child relationship, and she felt that she is unable to attract the opposite sex, which is a very, very difficult phase for a 16-year-old adolescent girl in this era of social media where every day some people change their display pictures. The totality which came upon was her constitutional totality was ailments from disappointment 3, anger repressed 3, overconscious of her looks. She was so overconscious that she stopped looking at the mirror. She stopped taking selfies so that she doesn't have to look at herself. She was very, very low, had very low self-esteem, jealousy with sister, reserved, desires bitter, desires spices, aggravation sun, and thermally she was hot. Natrimure, pulsatilla, and lycopodium came as the basic 3 hot remedies after the filter, but it was her delusion that she would never wanted to look into the mirror, and if she would look into the mirror she would feel very very miserable, and her desire for bitter, and the whole evolution, if we see from the childhood till now, pointed towards Natrimure, and that is why Natrimure was selected. And we see that the psychotic miasm is in the dominance. We see a lot of fixed ideas where she was convinced that she had poor breast development and she was looking very, very poor. She had repressed emotions, low spirited, migraine was there. So, psychotic miasm was the base, and the remedy that was selected as intercurrent was Thuja. If we see the case, it has a high susceptibility and high sensitivity, and that is why a high potency from 200 to 1 is selected. Now, approach in this case and the management becomes very, very important, because this is a very, very sensitive adolescent girl who has so many conflicts in her life happening at the same time, and that is why a multi-dimensional individualistic approach needs to be designed to heal her. And that is why homeopathy, counseling, diet and lifestyle modification was all needed to be used here. Homeopathic medicines, her constitutional remedy and her intercurrent remedies in high potency and infrequent repetitions was used. Calorie intake was stressed upon because she was deficient in that. And in that, because it was a small village, the PHC under the ICDS and the Kumari Shakti Yojana, we got a very good help in which she was given supplements. They used to give mental health checkup, physical health checkup, supplements were provided, menstrual hygiene was described to them. So all this helped in gradually making her understand the importance of diet as well. Counseling became a very, very important modality in this case. She was asked to replace her negative thoughts with those of the positive. She was asked not to avoid the situations of her life, but actually to re-engage in her life. She was asked to become more assertive, express her true feelings, have a lot of social skills, improve her relation with the mother, with her sisters, with friends, and problem solving training was given where she was asked to identify her problems, identify her resources, and find solutions for them. The result was very, very favorable. At the end of long 2 years of treatment, she gradually gained enough amount of weight. So her growth parameters improved, her growth charts improved, her BMI became normal, the body image perception improved. There were no further episodes of suicidal ideations. Headache, headache was better 3. She gained her self-confidence. She appeared for the class 10 exam. She passed that exam, and after that, she enrolled herself for a 6-month course of the general duty assistant. She completed that, and now she works as a hospital assistant nurse. We see that how beautifully healing took place with the help of all the 3 modalities. What I learned from this case was importance of application of concepts of normal growth and development for sizing up the problem definition. Unless we would have done her sexual maturity rating, we would have never known that this micromestia was actually self-perceived and not a delayed puberty. So the knowledges of the physician, aphorism 3, becomes very, very important. Identification of the available resources, especially external resources, and using them during the course of treatment. Evolving a multidimensional approach and applying the various methods and techniques that are required for problem resolution. Defining the role and roles of a homeopathic physician who is dealing with a sensitive adolescent, and the time and the depth of the interaction required, because here, apart from homeopathy, dietary advice, psychological counseling was required, and she had a big void of an absent mother in her life. So somewhere that kind of a motherly reassurance was required time and again, and after 2 years of treatment she came out very well. We now move to the case 2. This is a case of a 14-year-old female who was 8th pass and she was a school dropout. She was preparing for her private 10th. She belonged to a middle class family, and they were Sikh Baniyas who were residing in Surat. She was staying with mother and her elder brother. Her father expired when she was 9 years of age. The stepfather was from the other caste, and he was not staying with them currently when the patient came to me. And the mother had filed for divorce just 2 months back. Now, why this family situation? Let's take a look. The major conflict in her life: she was sexually abused by her stepfather. This very, very traumatic incident took place when she was just 13 years of tender age. If we see what happened in her life, her childhood was very, very good. She was a happy go lucky child. There were no difficulties. She was, her father adored her very much. She was the apple of his eye. But unfortunately, father expired when she was just 9 years of age. With the consent of the whole family and the community, mother had second marriage, and in January 2014, her stepfather sexually abused her at the age of 13. She was devastated. She had so much of fear, so much of anger for the stepfather, because she had started loving her stepfather, and he actually did this heinous crime with her. With this, mother being her only support system, she, instead of supporting her, she actually get more angry on her. That why did she let this thing happen? Did she not understand what the father was doing? Mother herself actually was in so much of turmoil that she was not able to understand what was happening, because she also felt very, very betrayed. Now, the social taboo was related to this. The girl was taken to the Gurudwara and they did a purification ceremony, that because she has now become uh, impure. So, this whole incident made her feel so hurt and so insulted that she started having menstrual complaints. And because of this, there was so much hype in the society, in the school, that she had to drop out of the school. So, all in all, her whole support system was lost. If we see the chief complaints after this sexual abuse, she had amenorrhea for 6 months. And if we see the menstrual history, the menarche started at 11 years of age. She had normal menstrual cycles till 13 years of age. Then came this incident and she developed secondary amenorrhea along with anger outbursts, tantrums. She was not able to concentrate on her studies. Her appetite was increased. She had recent weight gain and puffiness. For this, the gynecologist has given her progesterone pills for 2 cycles 3 months back, with which she only had mild withdrawal bleeding. Along with that, she also complained of vague headaches, which were there because of the variable aggravating factors, more so because of the old memories coming back and the whole suppressed anger. And even more than that, she was constantly scolded by mother, and the mother-daughter relationship was very, very bad. She had few tiny papular eruptions on her face, which is a growing phase. She was also overweight. Her BMI was 26. Now, if we see in short her menstrual history, and if we see the characteristic in these, she was aggravated 3 before her menses. Her mood used to change. She used to have a lot of breast heaviness, leukorrhea, and bloating. And all these complaints used to get better once there was menses and she discharged it. On examination, nothing much was found except for mild facial edema, increased BMI, and a few acne on the face. Otherwise, systemic examination was also NAD. Now, if we look at this clinical picture of 6 months of amenorrhea, the investigations which were done was UPT was done, which was negative, thyroid function test was normal, USG pelvis was seen if there was any evidence of PCOS. But finally, there was nothing which was found, so clinically it was difficult to diagnose it. So a set of second investigations were advised to understand why the secondary amenorrhea was there. But FSH, LH, prolactin, estradiol, cortisol, and all was advised, but because of the too much of financial constraints, they were not able to do it. And that is why then it was dropped. And then we started understanding that what could have been the cause of her amenorrhea. Now, because the progesterone challenge test, which was done by the gynecologist, led to this little withdrawal bleeding, we can see that this is probably a case of anovulation due to the stress-induced increased level of cortisol, or it can be a functional hypothalamic amenorrhea. So now we can summarize that her major conflicts were sexual abuse, menstrual disorder, psychosocial conflicts were the maximum because she was abused by a very close known person. She was indignated by her own inner circle, and her mother-daughter relationship was very poor. Intellectually, as a 13-year-old, she had weak intellect, she was immature, and now her academics were also curtailed. If we understand the psychodynamic and psychosomatic understanding of this case, we see that the sexual abuse and all the events that unfolded led to severe anger and indignation, but it was all suppressed because, seeing the circumstances, she was not able to express herself at all. Now we see how the psyche affects the body, how the psychoneuroendocrine axis gets activated. The hypothalamo-pituitary adrenaline axis was activated, lots of cortisol was produced, and this led to the suppression of GnRH and the suppression of the hypothalamo-pituitary ovarian axis. And hence, there was anovulation, which led to the suppression of ovulation and suppression of menses. And at the she had developed amenorrhea for 6 months, and all the attributing complaints, mood disruption, increased appetite, and headaches can all be attributed to this same phenomenon. So we can say that there is clear somatization of her mental symptoms to her body, and there was a lot of suppression. Now, if we see the emerging totality, there is ailments from sexual abuse, ailments from indignation, menses suppressed due to anger, and head pain from anger. Now, if we see menses suppressed due to anger, there are only two remedies, Tachypsagria and Colocin. But Colocin does not cover ailments from sexual abuse. And if we take Materia Medica references, under Tachypsagria, S.R. Phatak writes, ill effects of sexual abuse and amenorrhea for indignation. So Tachypsagria was selected. Tachypsagria 1 and single dose was prescribed for. Now, this stage, when she came to me, she was not counseled at all by anyone in the last 6 months. So she had a lot of anger, lot of fear, all the suppressed anger was there. And that is why I had to take her slowly in bits and parts, and stage wise, I needed to heal her. And that is why, first of all, she was given anger management, deep breathing exercise. She was given that advices that she should not think of negative thoughts. And this is how the counseling was slowly started. With this, after 10 days, menses appeared on 12/6, and they lasted for 10 days and were a little profuse, but that was okay because it was appearing after 6 months and there were no other complaints. Now, on the same day, her mother's case was also defined. Now, she also had a lot of problems after this incident, and she already had depression, hypertension, and now slowly she was going towards obesity and diabetes mellitus. On the same day, additional information about the patient was also obtained because the mother's case was defined. So now on 14/7, her next cycle appeared, which was regular. But this time, all her before menses symptoms became very severe. The bloating, the breast heaviness, all had come up. So now, for me, I thought whether Tachypsagria is still indicated or not, or whether I need to give some other remedy which will take care of all her complaints. And that is why I took a fresh look at the totality, and I could see that there was ailments from scolding, hatred for those who had offended her, want of self-confidence. She was very, very impressionable. She was aggravated by mental exertion. She was not very, she would never be able to sustain too long while studying. Aggravation 3 before and during menses was very, very prominent. And better by menses. Physicals, overweight, chubby, perspiration profuse, craving for sweets, cheese, salt, and indigestible things. And thermally, she was chilly. We can see that the dominant miasm is psychosis because there was a lot of retention of feelings and discharges and fluids, which was better after the discharge. Uh, Even family history showed IHD and tumors, and hence remedy Thuja was selected as an intercurrent remedy. Now, why I chose Calcarea and how I differentiated staph and Calcarea was Staphysagria was also appearing in the same totality, but I could see that her most prominent symptom of being better after menses, the better after discharging, was not covered by Staphysagria, and also her craving for indigestible things like chalk, etc., was not covered by Staphysagria. And so I thought I should now move from Staphysagria to Calcarea carb. And if we see, her susceptibility was high, her sensitivity was high, and so higher potency was required. So the plan was to start with 200 and to go to 1N. The follow-up, on the same day when she had come, she had severe before menses symptoms. So on that day, Calcarea Cup 200 single dose was given. Now, because the mother and daughter had both come along, I thought it was a nice time to start the family group therapy. Because they both were traumatized and the same incident had taken turns in their life. So the counseling sessions with both the mother and daughter was started. The brother was also very, very pain. He also felt the pain, but he was still okay. So he became the catalyst in all these processes. He was very, very neutral, and he was the bridge between the mother and the daughter. After 4 months, the regular cycles had started, but now because she was going to appear for her exams of the 10th standard, a lot of exam anxiety came, and that is when relaxation techniques and Calcarea was again repeated. The next month, again, she had the same complaints, too much of exam anxiety, headache due to too much of studying, and now the weight had also started increasing. So that at this point, I thought that anti-miasmatic should be released, and Thuja 201 dose was given along with Calcarea Carb 200. And to allay her anxiety, breathing exercises were given, and she was advised to take a little control on her diet. After 3 months, her exams were over, and then she reported to me that her menses had been regular since all these months. She had passed her exams, 10 standard exams, and now she was having no complaints. Learning from the case was I learned how to balance my own sensitivity and sensibility while handling a traumatized child who was rejected by her own inner circle. I understood the effects of sexual abuse on psyche and soma and the resulting clinical picture. Evaluating the remedy response was very important in this case, and it helped me in deciding the suitable actions that were required at every point of time. And the role of a homeopathic physician as a family physician and the merits of family therapy and ancillary measures. Now, after this case, let us go to case 3. This case is of an 18-year-old male who was referred by his father for excessive cigarette smoking. He had failed in his 12th standard science exam. Father was a CA and he ran a big consulting firm. Mother was a principal and trustee of the same family-run school. Elder brother and his wife were both CA and CS, and they were working with the father in that big consulting firm. They were very affluent and they belonged to the higher class Hindu Brahmins residing in Bhuj. Now, the chief complaint started after this incident of failure in 12th standard examination. this brought about disappointment in his life, and more so, his father completely rejected him. So the cigarette smoking, which had started just because of the peer pressure initially, took a very bad shape. Excessive cigarette smoking started so much that now, since 2 months, he was taking up to 20 cigarettes per day. He was unable to quit it, he was not able to control it, even though he was aware of the hazards. And this all was much more aggravated because there was constant domination from the father. So the diagnosis was tobacco use disorder. Along with that, he also had a lot of anxiety about his position and society in the status in the society. That what would people think that he has failed his 12th science? So along with that, there was a lot of binge eating. His weight started fluctuating because he was going to the gym again, dropping out, and he had BMI of 27, which shows that he was overweight. So if we see the summary of the major conflicts in his life, he wanted to pursue engineering and had planned that way, but he failed in 12th standard. So there was a lot of confusion about career planning and future. There was a difference of opinion with father regarding science versus commerce stream, because all the three other members who were of the family running the family business were from the commerce stream, and the child wanted to go into the science stream. There was substance abuse, there was conflict with father, and the major point was he was very, very intimidated and dominated by the other three members of the consulting firm: the father, the brother, and the bhabhi. Totality which comes up is ailments from disappointment, aggravation, domination, ambitious for money, anxiety future about, timidity, want of self-confidence, dreams of flying, craving for sweets, craving for cheese. Lycopodium, pulsatilla, phosphorus, calcarea were coming up in the repertorization as the most important symptom that helped me differentiating was the dreams of flying. he he used to dream that he is going high and high up in flying in the sky, and the father and the brother are all looking very tiny in front of him, which matched with his current conflict of the life. We again see that the dominant miasm is psychosis here. There is a lot of accumulation, immoral desires, oral stage fixation, and that is why remedy Thuja was selected as the intercurrent remedy, and lycopodium was her constitutional remedy. Susceptibility wise, it was on higher side, and posology again, high posology, higher potency was selected. Management was done over a period of 10 months. Now, again, in this case of substance abuse, it was very, very important to understand which resources to be used and how to take this adolescent out from this very, very bad habit. So, along with homeopathy, counseling, meditation, everything was used. A very important aspect of substance abuse is the impulse. These people are not able to control the impulse. So impulse control was used. He was taught how to control his triggers and how to control his impulse. And he was taught the skills to prevent relapse by relaxation techniques. Motivational interviewing was very, very helpful in this case because this boy had philosophical bent in his life. Also, being from a very high Brahmin family, he had this ceremony called Upanayanam when he was entering his adolescence, in which they are taught the meaning of Dvija. Now, Dvija means second birth. The first birth is the physical birth, but the second birth occurs at adolescence, which is the spiritual birth. This is the time when the child gets ready to take over to the world and enter his adolescence, and then get ready and responsible to enter into the adulthood. So he was made to understand that what this spiritual journey he should be actually undergoing, and what his goals should be, and what exactly is his current behavior. This really helped in healing him. He was given optimistic view, and he was asked to understand his self-efficacies. He was also given diet and weight management. The result was very favorable. His smoking and binge eating got extremely well after this. He followed his career choice. He took admission in diploma engineering. So he switched over to a plan B. So he took admission in diploma engineering, and now he intends that he will take a lateral entry into BE computers. The father was very happy with the treatment and seeing that his son is behaving so well. And so gradually the father-son relationship also improved a lot, and he had steady and healthy weight reduction, sorry. Learning from the case, impact of environment on the developing personality of the child, and correlating it with the materia medica images. Now, in this case, the evolution of the child and matching it with the lycopodium image was very important. Role of internal resources of the patient in bringing about positive outcomes of the therapy. Role of homeopathy in de-addiction. This was the most important learning from the case, that homeopathy really helped in impulse control, in controlling all the withdrawal symptoms and giving an overall healing. And last but not the least, role of counseling as an ancillary measure in cases of substance abuse. Now, if we see all the three cases, we see that the internal resources of all the three patients were either very poor or very limited. In this scenario, the external resources and strengthening of external resources becomes very important, and the role of community comes in. So various government health programs are there which help me in case one as well, but they are still very difficult to access. Socio-cultural background, like we saw in the case 3, becomes very important. Now, across the globe, in all the religions, be it Hinduism, Christianity, Muslim, Jewish, all have certain ceremonies and rituals of uh, when a child enters the adolescence. And unfortunately, we are forgetting our roots, and these all ceremonies are not taking place nowadays, and they should be actually done to help the child understand what is in store for him in the future. And last but not the least, the family. The family has a very big role in first producing the conflicts, and then again having the same role in resolving all those conflicts. If we see the overview of the three cases, we see that irrespective of the age in which the child was, irrespective of the location, the literacy, the caste, all the three children had some or the other problem in their life. They had very poor or limited self resources, and the external resources were also very limited. All the three had very different kind of conflicts which reflected their age related uh, conflicts. The remedies which were used were periodically changed according to the need of the time. Susceptibility was high in all the cases. Mainly psychotic miasm was seen, and hence the potency was used accordingly. All the three cases had very specific, individualistic, multidimensional approach, and that is how all the three cases were being handled. The first case, like we saw, needed a constant and deep interaction. Constant reassurance over the period of 2 years was required to heal the child. In case 2, we saw that I had to go stage wise because the conflict was so dramatic, and it took me 1 year to heal the child. In the last case, there was a simultaneous use of all the therapies over a 10 months, and at the end, we saw that the result was favorable in all the three cases. Now, from this, I can conclude that we have a lot of scope in treating all these adolescent problems like nutritional health, mental health, trauma, injuries, accidents, sexual and reproductive health, substance abuse, and infections, which are still very high in India. Diarrhea and LRTI are still very common in this phase of pediatric development. Conclusions and learnings from all these cases. I realized that adolescent healthcare in India needs serious attention, irrespective of age, gender, socioeconomic status, family background, or caste. Problems are very, very common, but they are unreported and untreated. Sound knowledge of normal versus abnormal, understanding any deviation early or late becomes very important. And from that, understanding the common symptoms and then identifying PQRS symptoms. Knowledge of the developing personality and matching them with materia medica images becomes very, very important. I realized that adolescent problems, if not intervened at the right time, can lead to faulty development and adulthood. But if we address them well at the right time, then there are positive outcomes and resolution. So we must identify the internal and external resources of the patient for a better treatment plan. And hence, a multidimensional holistic approach and an empathetic attitude can help these adolescents to realize their potential and live a healthier and happier life. Thank you so much for patient hearing. Thank you so much to everyone.